who lies. So great. I think we are good to get started, Lois. So thanks a lot, Lois, for joining to our Vidwata conversation series. I'm very happy and glad to have you here and hoping for a great conversation with you. I've interacted with you when you came to Mumbai, and when you came and I saw your talk, that was one of our eye-opener moments. Like things can be explained in.
Thank you so much for Shikesh. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I think we're gonna have a great conversation today, and hoping to get great questions from the students. And yeah, it was very nice meeting you in Mumbai. Thank you for sponsoring me my trip there. And yeah, that was a fun conversation. And then I realized and Vidvatta is a great place for education. So I'm a huge fan of what you do and of your mission. And so very happy to be here and share some ideas.
Thanks a lot, Lois. Our mission also has been in a similar way that we recently started upskilling people in all this new AI based technology for industry applications. How do you build? What kind of productionization techniques? What kind of challenges? So we started with our own courses also
Yeah.
through Vidvata to create more hands-on experience for people through our
Yeah.
platform. Our goal is to create more hands-on experience. But with that, Louis, as we had a discussion last time, I got to know a lot about you to some level, but I still don't know a lot about you. So I would like to know how you started. Like you have been through a lot of different journeys from different companies. You transitioned from mathematics and then into education. You have
Yeah.
seen a lot of these phases. So how was your starting journey and how did you get into? How's the journey of Serrano Academy?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit all over the place. It's definitely been very Markovian, Markovian when you like only decide the next step and you never look ahead. That's pretty much my journey. I always kind of go for whatever I like the most. And well, sometimes things work out and they don't, and then you realize that they didn't because they had to work out in this other direction. So it's always interesting. But I started as a mathematician. So I started actually this is way before in high school. I was a very bad student, very bad student. I have very low attention span. I could never understand stuff. But I started doing well, and I was failing math, for example. I was failing math miserably, but I started doing well in the math Olympiads, the math competitions, because I found that it was more creative. Like in school, they would just give you like an instruction and you have to follow it, and it's like, wow, we're more than that. But somehow the math olympiads really helped me sort of start enjoying math the way it was, like puzzles instead of just like formulas you learn. And so I went to for math in university, and then I learned what the academic career was, which is you continue. It's one more step after the next one. Is you do masters, then you do your PhD, then you do a postdoc, and then you become a professor. It's a very clear set. So I never questioned that. I just said, the only questions I had is where am I going to do for my PhD? Where am I going to go for my postdoc? Because it was just the same. It was a crowd of people going in the same direction. The idea was to be as good a researcher as you could possibly be. And I was always research did not. I worked. I liked it, but it was like whereas I really like the teaching, which is opposite to academia. Most people in academia don't really enjoy the teaching. I'm not, I'm generalizing. Some of them really do, but it's not the main bar they measure you with. And I really like the teaching. So I felt that I was slightly out of place, but it didn't, in retrospect, it seems out of place. At the moment, I just felt like I was struggling, you know? So I did all the way to postdoc, but then at the last step of being a professor, it was clear that I wasn't gonna be a professor. I really wanted to do something else. So I started learning about AI, which is this 2014. This is the time where AI was starting to be a thing. When you would see like in an image of a cat, and the AI would be like, "That's a cat," and we're like, "Whoa, the computers are going to take over, that's that time. So I, after, going around, knocking a few doors, taking some courses in AI and programming and stuff, I landed at Google. I was at YouTube for the recommendations team. And that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. But I'm not a programmer, like that clearly wasn't my thing. I'm not a production code person. I really enjoyed learning the AI and presenting stuff. I was always a teacher, like in academia, I was always a teacher. At tech, I was always a teacher. And at some point after 2 years, I said at YouTube, I said, I think I got to do the one thing I like, which is teaching. I'm clearly not the programmer or researcher, and teaching was what I really liked. So I thought, where can I teach? And then I end up at Udacity, which was a company right across the street, because when you're Mountain View in Silicon Valley, everything is there. Yeah, more before than now. And so at Udacity, they were hiring a machine learning instructor, and I ended up there, and that's when I really was in the right place. Like I was like, oh, I know exactly. For the first time, I know exactly what to do. And it was a very productive time. We
Aha
built so
moment for
many
you.
courses.
It was
Yes,
an aha
that was.
moment for you.
Oh, it was a huge aha moment, because I was like, okay, like all the stuff that is hard for me to do now makes sense, because I can teach it to people that, and I know why it's hard. I know exactly how it's hard, like I know exactly how to struggle, because I've done it. So this was very productive, and that's when I started the YouTube channel. That's when I started wrote the book, and it's a fruitful time. And then I ended up in different jobs, but I was always the teacher. Like I was at Apple, but I was the teacher at Apple. I was teaching the engineers AI. And then I was at quantum computing for a while, but I was like a little bit of research, and I was mostly the one in the company that would explain it to externals, to like clients or to talks or in hackathons. And then I moved to Cohere doing large language models pretty much at the right time. Like I went right before ChatGPT started, so that nobody knew what large language models was, and then everybody cared. But I was the explainer of the company. I was the one who made the course. So I've always been the teacher in anything I do. And that's the story. And now, after a year and a half ago, I've gone independent, which is something I wanted to do for a while. And I'm just focused on the YouTube channel, Serrano Academy, and just doing a bunch of educational projects, basically a bit consulting, but mostly educational. So yeah, that's the scenic route to my scenic route through life.
Yeah. So you have like your moved from professor to the data scientist. Like you have been to the data scientist kind of role also, right?
Yes, yes.
Mm.
I think I was a true data scientist for a couple of years, and all the other times I've been sort of a tangential data scientist. Like I teach and I do a little bit of work, of code and stuff like that, or I talk to people, or a lot of my what I have done in companies is translation, right? Like translation from like the tech person to the non-tech person, and they can't talk, and then I'm just there going, okay. Or
I
clients,
think,
right? That from the engineers to
yeah.
customers. Like I do a lot of that.
And you started at a time when the data science, AI, ML, all this were like the sexiest job of 20th century kind of things were
Yeah.
going on. It was a hot trend. So even when we are saying, okay, cat based classification, but still we were very shocked with that. And now the whole journey is going into a very different direction with respect to the AI. What do you think of like the 2014 era and the current era? How do you compare them?
Oh, I mean, it's fascinating, right? Because it's like two eras. I mean, it's the same thing has evolved, but there's a few steps, right? Like I remember in 2014, 2015, prediction was the thing, right? Like, can you tell if an email is spam or not? Can you tell if an image is a cat or not? Like, oh, it was like basically I compare it to when you're in an exam and you're answering multiple choice questions. So you're saying, what is my new email? Is it important? Promotions, spam, or not important, right? Multiple choice questions, right? Is this a cat, a dog, a pedestrian, or a red light? Like it's multiple choice questions. And then we went to generative AI, which is like an essay type question. It's like, talk to me about blah, and you just have to come up with stuff. So in the same way that this is harder than this, not just to create, but to evaluate, right? Evaluating a multiple choice question is easy. Yes, no, correct, correct, correct. Evaluate an essay, very hard, right? But something
Yeah.
that I found
Yeah.
very interesting is that everybody knew that we needed to do generative AI, because think of any futuristic movie in the past. There's always a machine that talks, like a car that talks, or a robot that talks or the spaceship that talks. And so everybody knew, okay, we need a chatbot. We need a chatbot. We need a chatbot. And also, like, generating images. It seemed like a dream back in the day. It seemed like possible. But eventually, yeah, some breakthroughs led to that. So yeah, it's an interesting, it's a very interesting space, and it's interesting to see like how it evolves basically in front of us, because back in the day things took forever for the next invention. Like you would have one big invention in your entire life, if anything. Now it's
It,
like that in the next 5 years, like all of what we're doing is going to look obsolete, right?
it's very difficult even to predict like what is going to happen over the next 5 years or even 2 to 3 years, how the life is going to be or how
Yeah,
the whole world is going to look like. It's
no
such a
clue.
tricky thing right now, the way
Yeah,
things have been moving. And I think you have seen the whole journey from the start where things were just at the early stage and the way things are now. I think with
yeah,
that, I'll again go back to some further behind part. Your book has been very popular. Like, what is the story? How did you get to the book part?
yeah.
Uh, how was that part, if you can add?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it all started with the YouTube channel because when I was at Udacity, I was making little videos for friends, for colleagues, saying, "Hey, this is how I want to explain this." They're meant to be private. I put one that was a very long video, and I couldn't pass in an email because it was big, so I put in a YouTube link, and then I sent it, and then that one became like got a lot of views and stuff like that. And once the video got a lot of views and a lot of people were watching the Udacity courses, then I started, like, my name started being out there, and an editor called me and they said, "Do you want to write a book on?" And we started looking at like advanced topics because it's like this and that and that. And I was like, sure, I mean, that sounds fun. But I thought, okay, I'm a slow writer. A book's gonna take a while to write. Anything that I do that's like not evergreen, I should not do it in a book. I should make it in videos or something. So eventually, we just kept landing down, 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 and landed on in basic introduction to AI, like the basic for people who are starting, like bare bones, the fundamentals, but in a fun way. Because I don't like formulas. I don't understand formulas. I've never been okay with formulas. Like how sometimes music, there's the occasional musician that I can't read music, but I just like to play
Don't
it.
like you
I'm
don't
like
like
that with math.
formulas. Yeah, you say
Yeah,
you don't like formulas, but you make it so easy for everyone to understand the formulas and get
thank
deep
you.
into the
That's
formulas.
thank you. That's because I try to avoid them, right? So I'm like that. I'm like the musician that doesn't read music. I'm the mathematician that can't read formulas. I see a formula, ugh. But if you really, and people who write papers, they don't make any efforts to clarify that. They just put a big formula, and it's always the same form. It's always a sum of logarithms. It's like a blah blah blah, and the more complicated, then the smarter the researcher is. And I'm like, no. Um, and so I try to see everything without a formula. I've evolved though, because I used to remove every single math, and I would just make it like a game for me, because that's what I would have liked. People started asking, it's like, hey, can you at least put it at the end so we can put more formulas? And so I've added them a little bit back, but after, like, I don't scare people with a formula right away, because that's like, hitting them in the head. Now it's like I just put the gentle stuff, and then at the end, I still have the formula. But for example, like I like to say 3 instead of x. Like, why x? If it's a number, it's a variable, but why don't you just give it a number? People are more used to 2 plus 4 than to x1 plus x2. So yeah, the book took a while writing, but it was fun. And as I said, it's as evergreen as I can possibly do, because anybody entering AI needs to learn some fundamentals, at least for a while, so some
Your
things
books
just
are
don't go.
still in like top 10 of ML
Oh,
recommended books. Your books are also
oh,
there always
great to hear. I'm
in the
happy to hear.
recommendations that I always see. And I think
Great.
one of the things was the maths has always been a complicated piece. And like when we were in college, I used to be scared of maths a lot with the all these numbers and everything. And even I had a failures in some of the maths subjects.
Yeah,
But when I
yeah.
started this field of whole like when I started the career, I thought maths is not being used anywhere. It's just no use. Like, why did we learn so much math?
Yeah.
But I did a transition to AIML at some mid-career level, but then we actually started to explore the linear algebra, the derivatives, the statistics, the probability, the way these things connects. And with like simplification, if these things are explained, those look like very simple. And I think you have been even going more deeper into that, where you just create the characters, stories all around it, and make learning the maths so much easier. And I think many people get scared with the ML only by thinking that, okay, this is a field that requires a maths.
Yeah.
And when they start learning and just see the linear regression based formulas and all those things, people just get scared and just stop around that part.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, right. You agree to
And I
that,
don't
right?
blame them. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I don't blame the people who get scared of the math. I blame whoever put the math right there in such a way, because math is not formulas. There's concepts. It's beautiful, beautiful concepts. I mean, some like I see it as a lot of puzzles. You know, and I think I look at my own learning journey and how it's so hard for me to learn stuff. And whenever I can learn something, is I need two things: visuals and narrative, right? Like images and the story. I need to have a story. I can't follow a bunch of facts. Like, we don't read manuals, instruction manuals, even though they have a lot of information. We read novels that are lies, they're fake, right? But we read an entire novel, but we don't read instruction manuals, even though if you think about it, it's more useful to start reading instruction manuals of stuff, right? But we need a story, we need a narrative. We don't get hooked. We're hardwired to following stories, and also visuals, right? Like, if I see an image, it's worth more than 1,000 words, like they say, or it's worth more than 1,000 formulas. So I
True.
need this. I teach to myself. Like, I pick me as the student, and I go, what is the only way I could teach this to me and understanding, and I understand it, and I have to go full cartoonish. Otherwise, I get lost. Like, if there's a paragraph in the video, and you see my slides, I never have words on it. If I were one word maybe, or if you like a title or something. When I go to a talk and people have a paragraph written, like with prepositions and stuff, like, what's wrong with you? What, if you want me to read, just give me a paper, and I'll read it. Like, I came here to hear you.
Very true. I think we have seen you live taking those things. Uh, like nowadays, I feel that engaging the students who are at early career or early learning stage is very difficult because they have a very less attention span. But
Yeah.
the way that day you were trying to engage everyone in a one single, everyone was just so hooked to the way you are trying to take them through all the concepts. I just saw that, okay, everyone was just so engaged and involved in the whole story and the journey. I felt that first time attention as a concept or a transformer as a concept and embedding as a concept was people liking it as a story rather than just being looking at those things that are scary things and then trying to deep dive. It was more fun with the characters and everything being there.
Yeah. I like that. I like that more. Yeah. And sometimes giving people a puzzle, it's another thing I do a lot. Like, people, here's what education does wrong. Okay. They first give you the instruction, and then they make you follow it. And so we become instruction followers. We become obedient, right? And then those are rewarded. The more obedient is the one that gets into the next stage in university. And then we just have a world ran by people who just follow instructions. And that's not okay. I mean, I like to do the opposite. So first, instead of instruction quiz, like, instead of theory quiz, I do quiz theory. I first put the quiz. And now you have to reward it, because if you haven't taught them the thing, you can't just ask them something technical. But if you reward it in a way that they're solving a puzzle with things that they already know, because we've been through the world for a long time, we're experts at world stuff. So if you take the problem and rewrite it in a way that is that becomes a real life thing that they can figure out, then they can figure it out. And then you tell them, hey, what you just did was this, or you came up with something different, right? Like sometimes I'm teaching, for example, I'll give you an example, linear regression, right? When I teach linear regression, you could say, this is how you do linear regression. So now use it to predict the price of a house. I say, no, here are some prices of houses. And I have no price for this one. And it has this many rooms and it has this many this. And what would you price this house? People can do that, right? People can be like, well, I mean, it's as big as that one, which is price 100. It's probably 100, but then it has one less parking spot, so maybe 99 or so. People can figure that out, right? And then I tell them, okay, what method did you use? And believe it or not, I've seen people discover KNN. I've seen people discover linear regression. I've seen people discover like a lot of different things, because when you just made them think, they can just come up with stuff, and then you can guide them, right? Or they can teach you new stuff. So
Yes.
I like that too. I mean, I think you gotta value creativity. You gotta value uh, thinking outside the box, and once you take that away from people, be like, don't. I don't need you to follow any instructions. I'm in no authority to come and tell you what to do. Let's work together. People get empowered, and people can be so people know so much stuff, and the education system just constantly brings them down. So I like to bring that out of people,
You
and they
make them
bring it
all
out of me too.
engaged in the whole
Pretty
journey. You
much,
make
that's
them.
what you got to do.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. Yeah,
Right. Right.
I like
Perfect.
that you do that too. I've seen the Vidvata courses and video stuff. This stuff is super super creative. So I think we're
Thanks
very
a
much
lot,
alike.
Chris. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Liz. I think with that, you have been looking at this AI world from a good time. And
Mhm.
as per you, what do you think? Like, what kind of misconceptions are there uh, in the AI field? Because there are
Uh,
some hypes,
yeah.
realities. So how do you try to bridge that, Luis?
Yeah, I mean, there's like the people who say this is the stupidest thing. It can't do anything. It's not gonna, it's just not gonna be able to do. And that never works for it in history. That has never been the right thing. Like nobody has said, I know everybody has said this is not gonna work, and it works. And then there's the other end of the spectrum that say they're gonna do everything and get rid of humans. So this is a spectrum, and I don't see it as a spectrum. I see it more as like different knobs. There are things it can do better than us, and we should not fight against them. Instead, we should use them for that. And there are things that are always going to be human. And the interesting thing is, it's not the first time this happens. Every invention has that. The only difference is that this is the first time that it happens to the brain, but it already happened to the legs. Cars came in, and it was like, okay, are they gonna replace our legs? No, that's the spectrum. Are they gonna be completely useless? No, they're pretty useful, right? And at the end of the day, a human driving a car is the thing, right? And they have some strengths and weaknesses. I can't run faster than a car. Usain Bolt can run faster than a bad car, so you can't compete with cars in terms of running or in terms of how far you can go. The biggest marathon runner cannot go faster than a normal car. So you can't compete in a bunch of things. But other things, I mean, the car can take me to the parking lot, but it can't take me up the stairs. It cannot go in a track in the garden, in the grass, in between the trees. And it can't go up by itself. Like I can't let the car go by itself. I need to drive it. And every time I drive less, right? Like we don't have stick shift. Like they remove the stick shift, then they remove, then they make them autonomous. But I'm still the one who knows where to go. You're still gonna need a human. So the idea is the same with AI. It's the exact same thing with AI, right? Like I'm not gonna be able to analyze a book faster than AI. I'm not gonna be able to find 1,000 references, put them together in a little graph, and pack them, and generate a bunch of like that stuff is faster. Like it's better. Like it's like trying to run faster than a car. Um, but other
It's always
things,
augmentation. It's always like
yes,
an
yes,
augmentation with the
it can
humans.
augment stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's far more eloquent than me. Like, if I write something versus if I tell the AI to write it, and I maybe do a couple of iterations, it's just more eloquent. I'm sorry, it can do it in more languages. I can't learn all the languages. Um, I like math actually. I mean, I can't beat it in chess, and this has happened from like more than 20 almost 30 years ago. It beat Kasparov in chess, and it beat 10 years ago the top Go player, which is Go is much harder. I mean, Go has more positions in the board than atoms in the known universe. Yet the computer has no problem beating us at Go and discovering new techniques in Go that we had no clue. Okay, so I have no reason to think that math is not going to be the next thing. Like I may be wrong if somebody's reading this, listening. All of math is going to be like easier for a computer. It already scores gold medals in the math Olympiads, in the international math Olympiads. I don't see why it's not going to win the Fields Medal or the Nobel of Physics. This is pure brain stuff. This is pure. Put this idea connected with this one, find the midpoint, connect it with another idea. I don't see why that's going to be trying to run faster than a car. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a special creativity humans have. Maybe, but that part is like, it's like, now the part that we intervene is driving the car, right? Like guiding the car, and also getting in and out of the car, right? Like walking upstairs to your room. That's still us. So you need to, when people do like vibe coding or something, or I do a lot of that. I say you gotta start, you gotta guide it, you gotta tell it where to go, let it write a bunch of code, let it help you with the code, let it help you with the technical part or the writing, and then review it at the end and give it feedback. It's like driving a car, right?
Yep.
And I think in that is where we come in. I don't think we're gonna get replaced, and I think the only way to really find out what's us is to push it to the limit and say, okay, what if I make it do everything? Like, what if I try for my car to do everything? I realize at some point I have to steer the wheel, otherwise it crashes. At some point I have to get off and walk a certain place. So the only way is to push it, and you'll see the weaknesses immediately. Like for example, you're gonna try to write a 500-page book. So just say, write a 500-page book, and say continue. At chapter 5, the name of the protagonist is going to be completely different than in chapter 1. So you need to guide it. Like, hey, remember, then it's called this, or maybe give it an idea. Make it do it in steps. Give me the chapters first. Like, you realize that you have to drive it. But at the end, yeah. But at the end of the day, I feel like there are some skills that we have that the computers will never have. And it's not math, it's not programming, it's not anything rational. I feel like it will be something like what we call the soft skills now. Those computers don't have, empathy, emotions, even things like intuition. When you have an idea and you think, oh, I think I should go this direction. That's something we need to develop more, because ChatGPT only has numbers. So anything that's quantitative, we're dead. We're done. Like, we're finished. The computer can do it.
Fully
Anything
automated,
that's
all quantitative.
anything that's qualitative, we still have an edge. Anything where you have to follow one variable and one variable only. When you can change the variables based on your qualitative ideas, then you win. So for example, if I want to be as rich as possible, I only have one variable, profit. So I just increase it. AI can do that better than me. But if I want to be as healthy as possible or as happy as possible, I have to change the variables all the time. I'm like, okay, I'm good with this. Now I need this one. Now I need this one. Now I feel like, oh, maybe I should eat an ice cream. That's going to make me happier. Not healthier directly, but I feel like the calling, you know what I mean? Like, this is hard for a computer because the variables are qualitative. So that's where we come in.
The human, yes, absolutely. I think with the car example that you gave, in my mind, it was coming that okay, there will be a someday where, as the movies and other places we have seen, we are in the bed, something is there to pick us, put us in the car, take us in the car. So do you think some kind of a day where even we don't have to walk, escalators are there everywhere, everything is like
Yeah.
fully automated. Do you think that kind of
Yeah.
a day can come?
I mean,
What do you
I hope not. Well, I think in terms of like, we can take the car everywhere, or we can choose not to, right? And some people take an escalator to go to a gym that has a treadmill. So you take a thing that takes you around without walking in order to go to a place where you walk that doesn't take you anywhere. So I think if we're smart, we've been semi smart about our body, right? Like we know that we should walk to the corner store, even if we can take a car, like for leisure, for taking some air, for exercising our legs. Like we know this, right? Like, and some people overdo it. Some people, I mean, some people take the car to the corner store and they're not in great health, right? And some people just walk more, and I think the same thing's gonna happen with the brain. If we started letting us do everything, at some point we're just gonna be like, well, I'm just gonna type this email myself just for fun, or
Yeah, I
like I'm
mean,
just gonna do
because
this puzzle. I'm gonna do a crossword puzzle or something. Like I think
same has
it's the
happened
same
with
decision.
me. Yeah, with the
Yeah.
vibe
So
coding also, to a good time that happened that okay, I now doing fully vibe coding, and then suddenly I had to think that okay, no, I'm just getting too much relied on this. I'm keeping my brain completely aside. I need to also get involved to some good extent, because even if those things are working, not everything is fully optimized. Again, you have to get in to
yeah,
optimize those things to one
yeah,
more level. So you have to be involved. Like even I say that
yeah,
okay, if you don't know AI, ML, and you then try to build a model, you don't know what is being built, how do you improve it, how do you optimize it, what kind of changes are actually required, or how do you debug it? I think humans are still going to be there to debug things and improve
yeah,
it. Uh, at least for
yeah,
now, is what I think. And I think
yeah.
one more thing is, yeah, yes, Luis.
Oh, no, no. And I said the syntax gets easier, but there's always going to be people doing the hard syntax. Like, for example, there was a time when everybody wrote assembly. Now that's not the case, but some people still write
Right?
assembly. Like, we need some people to write assembly, right? To get the
Yes.
code to be but only the purists. And now everybody writes on Python. And now in the future, everybody will write in English, but some people will still write Python. Somebody has to build the models, right?
Yes.
But just I think as long as the majority of people who want to use programming as a tool can have it as accessible as it's humanly possible, then that's better. And yes, there will always be the purists, and some people run marathons. You know what I mean? Like we are more active. We are better at running long distances than even our ancestors who had to walk everywhere. But the thing is, there's always going to be the people who do it themselves. But I think if you have the tools to get everybody as far as possible, I think that's a positive thing. I mean, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very true, Luis. I think the AI has been making like people productive to a good extent. I think it's up to us now that how do we leverage this to be more productive. I think everyone has to update also. People have to adapt as the things are coming. I think some are scared and in their cocoon, and some are there on the journey of adapting. And I think overall, I think I remember
Yeah.
that few years back when we used to code and somebody used to do it from the Google, like few years back, people used to tease that okay, you're doing from Google, you don't remember the syntax. But I think that has become
Yeah.
a mandatory thing few years back. And I think now again the
Yeah.
vibe coding, you say that okay, you're doing vibe coding, you're not doing by yourself. But I think again that will become a norm completely
I think so.
in
Yeah.
some time,
I mean, when I
right?
was at Google, a lot of what I did was copy pasting code. And that's what a lot of people did. Because at the end of the day, if somebody already wrote that piece of code, why do I need to
Yeah,
write it? Like if I know what it does and I know what to put it here, I mean, somebody already built a toaster. I don't need to bake my toaster with a match underneath the bread and keep it there for a while, right? Like people build stuff and you know we use it. It's been happening. The moment we start thinking that this is what's been happening all the time, it's just the first time that it happens to the brain. We all of a sudden this becomes part of human history. It's not a huge change. It's the same thing every generation goes, just faster and with the brain. Yeah.
true, true. And with that, I would like to know, Luis, like just out of context, are you going through any second version of your books? Like, is it?
Great question. Yes, I do. I do. I am revising the book. I'm gonna go through I'm writing a second edition right now. And the main changes there are some package changes because I was using a package that was really good, but it was to recreate, made by Apple. It's very very clear, but they discontinued it, so I'm changing it to scikit-learn.
Okay.
That created a lot of changes actually, because all these experiments are different, which has been fun. So I've been doing that part, and then I'm just adding some generative AI stuff. So I'm adding a chapter on LLMs and diffusion models. So yeah,
Oh,
so
and when
basically,
is it
yeah.
expected?
When is
Any?
it expected? Early next year. Or
Oh,
let me say in February, but I don't know which year. No, I'm kidding. No, I think early 2026. I hope anybody listening to this in early 2026 gets their book. But yeah, yeah, it's happening, and I'm excited about it because yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm happy that the book is, as I says, is evergreen. But some things you can still change. Some things you can still add, and some things are used less now, so we just don't need those. And some things,
when was it that
it's
you finished that book? The first version? Like in which
yeah.
year?
Oh, more 20. Well, I was writing a book during the pandemic, so I think maybe
Okay,
2022 is when it came out. 2020, yeah, maybe early 2022. I don't
okay,
remember, but yeah.
awesome.
Um, so yeah, this yeah, I'm happy about this new edition. I've also made videos about a bunch of the chapters, so I have more accompanying stuff, like more accompanying material.
So it's like a
Yeah.
complementary content with the book. Is it how it will be?
Yeah, it's no, it's an extra chapter, and it's a new book, but anybody who has the book can get access to like the online version of the new one, right?
Perfect.
So
Great, great.
yeah.
So okay, I think I'll get it, but that's a good news for all the audience with people who have been waiting,
Yeah,
or
I'm
maybe
very
been
excited.
following you. Yeah,
Yeah.
great, great. And now coming to like Luis, as you have been in the early education industry to help people upskill in this AI ML domain, how do you uh,
Yeah.
suggest everyone to get started into this career? Because this is still a hot career right now for everyone to follow. And the
Yeah.
what do you suggest now? What should be a learning path for anyone to get started in this area?
Great question. Yeah, I that's a great question. I think that first of all, AI is a big field so big that nobody does everything on it, and if something doesn't work, doesn't mean you're not made for AI. For example, I came in as a full programmer, did not work out for me. Uh, but I for a moment I thought, okay, I'm not an AI person, you know. Then I realized, no, I can teach AI. That's what I can do, you know. And there are so many ways people can go into AI. Some people from the pure like human, let's say I have human here, analytical here, and coding here. I'm just imagining a triangle, and you can do any of those, you can be bad at 99 ways of doing AI and good at one. So I think you could go full technical like ML ops.
Mm.
That's if you're a programmer and you enjoy writing code, like crazy production code, maybe MLOps is your way. If you're more analytical, statistical, mathematical, then maybe go full data science or even data analyst and everything in between, right? Like you have MLOps here, data analyst here, and you have data scientist, software engineer, machine learning engineer. Like you can go as far as you want. And also there's the human side, right? Like if you're more into like leadership, you can learn the right amount of AI and then, be uh, uh, you can be a product manager, you can be a manager, you can have your own company, you can do all the sort of the human work of AI. And as I said, everything in between, right? You can be someone who writes a little bit of code, but also talks to the engineer. So basically, if you imagine this triangle, every point in this triangle is a completely different person. And so trying to find your way around there, I think would be good. And the strengths talk loudly, and the weaknesses talk even louder. So always listen to those, and the joy talks even louder. So what you are liking, go for that, and that's sort of a way to navigate this sort of big manifold of AI, right? But as for the starting point, the experts always say the same thing, or most of them, and they're like, oh, you just go and learn all the math, and then go learn all the coding, and then go learn all the statistics, and then take a bunch of, all this, and then come here, and then do a hello world of finding the price of a house. I'm like, no, do the complete opposite, right? Like, start playing with it. It's kind of like when you teach a kid, I don't know, any sport like soccer or something, right? You don't say go read a book on physics, of fluid dynamics of a ball flying through the air, and then read another book of the rules of soccer, and another book on the strategies of soccer, and then come, and then I'll let you kick a ball, but only then I'll let you kick a ball. No, right? That's terrible. That's a crime. You just give the kid a ball and say, run around and kick the ball and
Yes.
do your thing. And if you like it,
Yep.
if you don't like it, then soccer's not for you. If you don't like kicking a ball, I'm sorry.
Very
And
true.
if you like kicking the ball, then here, now I can help you. Here, kick it this way. Oh, now try to
Yep.
kick it between these two posts. That's the rule. And start going like that, but you got to start playing with it. So how do you play with it? I would just suggest pick one thing you like in the world, like anything, right? And there's a data set for that, I guarantee. And just go and open that data set, visualize the data set. You can go to Colab and bytecode. You can just be like, help me visualize this data set. Look at it. See what you find. Is there something there that looks like a line? Oh, okay, well, look for machine learning line, and you find linear regression. What's linear regression? Okay, then you go. You know what I mean? Like that. I kind of learned like that. I picked that tennis data set. I like watching tennis. I can play it poorly, but I can watch it very
With
well.
that, I have
uh,
one question. Now
yeah,
let's say you have to learn today, like with the way the things are today. How do you learn ML? So you're saying you'll directly go with the collab and you'll start experimenting with it. So that
you
should be your
you
way now.
can. That was my way when I did it. I started playing with my own data set, knowing very little, and then you start experimenting. Now I think with generative AI, I mean, starting to prompt ChatGPT is actually a really good start learning AI, because you start like getting it to, if the moment you get to the weaknesses and the strengths, then you start learning AIs. It's like knowing a person, right? You go hang out, you get a coffee, you talk, you start realizing who that person is, right? Same thing with AI, right? You start prompting ChatGPT, start trying to get it to do your job, everything, and maybe find a tool that helps it do something, and just playing with it. I feel like that can get you to go really far. And if you start digging into the code, if you start digging into different
One more
places, you can
thing,
start
Louis.
realizing, yeah.
Now the AI as a whole field has grown a lot and it's become a big thing to learn. Now there's a traditional ML, there's a deep learning, there's a LLM, there's a generative AI, there's a agentic AI, there are image-based models. Now this is so big. People, how should they start? Or like, can they directly start with the image-based things,
Yeah,
or can they directly start with agents? So what is the starting point
you
uh,
you can
for
start
this?
with anything, really. I don't see, it doesn't have to be sequential, because it depends on how you want to use it. If you want to learn how it works, I think you should learn a little bit of how it works. So that is the same path as 10 years ago. You start with the algorithms, like start learning linear regression, play with it, start learning a neural network. Learning how a neural network works is never a bad idea, because everything is neural networks. Like AI, I remember 10 years ago, AI, you would make a decision, be like, oh, should I use an SVM or a Bayesian based model? Now it's like, which neural network should I use? Like, neural networks back then were one of the options. Now it's the option, and
Yep.
everything's a neural network. So if you're going to take a course and you're a course person, then definitely go through the ideas of how a neural network works, even if it's vague. Kind of how we know how a car operates. I can tell you a bit idea of how a car operates. I can drive it. I could not build one from scratch unless I'm an engineer, right? Same thing with a neural network, right? Like, you learn a bit of how it works to give you an idea of why it failed here, why it did well, how to tweak it. You don't have to build one unless that's what you want, right? So never a bad idea to learn how neural networks work, and it's never a bad idea to learn something like, you know like basic data analytics, right? Like what's
Two things you're saying are important. One is you're
yeah.
saying to get started with the data analytics would be the very important part. Go with
Uh-huh.
the Gen AI or through the
I,
basics theory, but do hands-on, be practical, and go deep
yeah,
into those things.
anything
Another is the neural
hands-on.
network.
If you want to learn architecture, learn a bit about how neural networks work.
Yeah,
Data analytics, then just the normal distribution, maybe thinks about how they uh, just look at a lot of data sets and be like, what's the mean? What's the variance? How do I evaluate? How does this data set different than this data set? Instead of just looking at it, but be like some metrics. How to evaluate models is good, like how do I know if one model is better than another one? Well, it has better accuracy. Well, that doesn't speak. That's not the only thing. Then you learn what precision is, what recall is. Um, there's a lot of I would put more emphasis, unless you want to know how models work, I would put more emphasis on like how to evaluate models, how to go through one example of like predictive machine learning, like take the Titanic data set, the quintessential data set, and then try to make predictions of the Titanic data set, go through a lab, evaluate different models, see two different models and see which one was better. Um, stuff like that. And or you can also jump into generative right away. But I feel like if you have a good idea of predictive ML, then generative is not that different, because generative, at the end of the day, it's predictive, done well and fast. Like ChatGPT is not talking. ChatGPT is giving you the next word in a sentence. That's autocomplete, and autocomplete is predictive, right? Like autocomplete, WhatsApp autocomplete. You're typing and it gives you the next word in a sentence. Well, ChatGPT gives you the next word in a sentence. It just does it well in a way that if it does it many times, it looks like it's talking. If you do that without a complete and you start predicting the next word, it looks like gibberish, right? It looks like somebody with a short attention span talking. They change topics and stuff like that. Whereas ChatGPT keeps a topic, but it's not different. So I think if you understand predictive ML, general ML is not that hard. But that doesn't mean you can't. That doesn't mean you can just say, "I'm going to take LLMs as a black box." LLM is a thing that talks. I'm gonna see how to build an agent by joining a bunch of LLMs. That's similar to the skills of a manager, for example. Agentic AI already feels like how a manager manages a team. It's like I need a person to do this. It passes it to the other person. I give them this much instructions, but also this much autonomy to do their own thing. So I would say, I mean, I know my answer is very ambiguous, but I really think people should, uh, follow something that they find interesting and dig
yes,
deeper into that, and
yes,
that will guide them. That's just because that's how I learn. I find something
right.
interesting and I kind of push with my head, and if I find a roadblock, I either see how to go through it or go around it or take a different thing, like a different route. I don't know. I'm very
Also,
chaotic in my mind,
yeah,
and that's how I learn. Some people are more sequential, and um I try not to push people into my chaotic mind frame. That only that only works for people, some people. But I think if anybody's very sequential and wants to take a course, like take a basic AI data
and it's a
analytics
structured
data
approach. I
science.
think you have to put time
Yeah,
uh, in learning. I think a good amount of pieces. I think there is no
yeah,
structured way. Like there is no,
yeah,
there is a lot of trees and branches
yeah,
that goes into this learning, like what you really want to follow. You want
yeah,
to go purely with generative AI, you need to have a
yeah,
set of prerequisite that you have to go through before you can actually understand what is happening internally. I
yeah,
think even with generative AI now, there are two layers purely. One is like application layer, where you just start using this token to token generation aspect and start building the products, versus you fine tune and try to improve this model. Now, coming to
yeah,
the last part, Luis, like one was the learning part. Now, you're saying the learning, if we can conclude, you're saying we should pick up a path and try to find out a complete flow and then just start practice. First is like start with the data set and get started with the practice, and that's how you learn. by going deeper into aspect by aspect, right?
Yeah, I find
Oh,
that some people are builders, right? Some people
yeah,
just get a data set, start playing with it. Some people just start trying to understand a certain thing deeper. Some it's very different for everybody.
everyone.
Um, I feel like if there's a standard way, just take one basic AI course. You know, Vidvata
Perfect.
has some great courses, right? Like that would be the way to go. But anybody who wants to do something on the side as well, like I would say, just pick anything that you find interesting and start asking ChatGPT about it and start digging.
Sure.
So have the
Great.
two extremes, right? Like this, the extreme where you're going on the rails of the class, and one where you just kind of like freeform, learning random things.
And
I
I
don't know.
think with that, uh, I think I would like to also take your thoughts based on the time that we have. What do you think of the agentic systems which are now trying to take the world on a fire right now? Like everyone is just
Yeah.
talking about agentic. It's
Oh,
all about agentic, as you
agentic.
said.
Yeah.
I think it's just we just open the eyes and everywhere
Yeah.
you will be seeing that there is a term called as agentic AI. So what do you think about
Yeah.
it, Luis?
I find it very interesting, and when you look at it, it makes a lot of sense that it goes on AI because technology, as I said, repeats. It's more like rhymes, you know. The internet was the same thing. I mean, when you started with the internet, it was just text. First, it was just text. There was the occasional image, but it was text in, text out. You send an email, you would read a page full of text, and then it started getting more images and videos and multimodal, And then the next step was it started doing things. Like there was a huge step. Remember, there was a huge step between the internet being an information thing and the internet being a doing thing. Do you remember when it's started? If I tell you you're gonna make a bank transaction on the internet in the late 90s, I don't know if you had the, yeah, it would have been crazy. It would have been crazy. But now everything is done on the internet. That's a huge step for the mind, right? To start trusting it. Now we trust it. You know, we And the same thing happens with AI, right? Like first it started text, right? Just text. You prompt ChatGPT, you get text back. Then it started getting images and videos and generating audio, generating videos, stuff like that, understanding videos. So we got multimodal. And now it's becoming a doing thing. And now it's kind of crazy to think that one day AI is going to do a lot of our stuff. Like if you say, let do this bank transaction and it does it, it's hard to trust that. Sounds as crazy as if I tell you a long time ago that you're going to make a bank transaction on the internet. But now, like we're going through that exact same step of information all the way to doing stuff. But it's very natural. And AI agents do that. I think AI agents have main two main purposes. One is to like get it to do things, right? Like not just type back and you do it, but it opens an API, opens your email, opens your calendar, does stuff, and maybe even like with physical things, like you sort of make a toast and boom, it comes out of the toaster. But another one is actually enhancing the LLM, right? Like enhancing the LLM can be done with agents because if you want to make it, for example, like again, write a book. Let's say you talk about write a book. LLM's not going to write a book for you. It's going to mess up. But if you have a lot of LLMs working together, this one creates the idea, pass it to this one. This one creates a chapter, pass it to this one. This one checks if it makes sense. This one checks the grammar. Then you can write a book, right? So I feel like agents do that. And here's something interesting. I feel like we already have workflows, right? Like anybody who's done computer science had like knows how to do a workflow in object oriented programming. Now the question is, why are agents not that? Because it seems like they're that, like a glorified version of that. And I thought that had that question until a long time until I started asking people and finally realized. And it's like it's not that because it's more autonomous. Like it can make changes on the fly. So like it can if I am having a workflow, a programming workflow, and it runs into an error that it's not in the list of errors that it's able to do, uh, it crashes. On the other one, if in the other end of the spectrum, here I have object oriented programming. On the other end of the spectrum, I have a team of humans. I can give a team of humans an instruction, a set of instructions. But if something goes wrong, they are humans. They have criteria. They will know what to do. They will hire another person. If there's a fire, they will get a bucket of water. Like this is this is automation over here. This is static, and this is autonomy. It's dynamic. So in this spectrum of like pure automation all the way to pure autonomy, humans, the idea is that agents right now are like in the middle, and the goal is to push them all the way to a group of humans, right? That have a lot of knowledge from before and are able to use it and enhance the team, change things around, or get into solve problems, etc. So that's what agents are. Actually, I'm going to put a link in the. Thank you for that question, because just today I put a video on agents. So I'm gonna put it here in the chat for anybody who's interested. Uh,
Sure, Luis.
but
I think we'll
yeah,
also be able
definitely
to
agents.
share it over the LinkedIn also once we are
Yeah,
done. But
yeah,
yes, that will be great. I think your videos would be always exciting to watch the way you try to break down the things and then try to take it over, explaining the part. So it's awesome. But now again, you're saying, is this going to take the jobs? Like, what do you think of that? If you're saying these are moving towards the humans, and now
yeah,
we are,
yeah.
so what do you think of that aspect? Like,
Well, every technology takes a bunch of jobs and brings a bunch of new ones. So, like for example, the internet, like there's a lot less, bank tellers, because now people do a lot of transactions in the internet. But now there's back end developers and front end developers and stuff like that. So we're always going to work ourselves until late age, because that's a thing of society. I feel like we already have technology to not have to work all the time. Since the steam engine came, we have technology to not have to work all the time, and we invent stuff to work and buy stuff and pay it. So this is a society thing. So it's not no, we're not going to get rid of jobs. Um,
I think,
but
no, no,
but we
sure,
have
sure, please.
transition. Yeah, but we have. This is just another step in the wheel of like jobs are going to change a lot. So I think the way to go, there has to be a personal thing you can do and a society thing you can do. The and it's more society really. The personal thing you do is you got to change the real estate of a person can no longer be knowledge. Grandpas, back in the day, they would learn one thing and use it all their lives. Their knowledge was sacred, and that's why they were adverse to change, because it's like, oh, I get rid of my knowledge. That's my salary, right? We can no longer do that. In 5 years, you and I are going to be working on something completely different, and in 10 years, completely different. So the new real estate has to change from knowledge to malleability, right? It has to be can you adaptability, can you change, have you changed 4 times means you can change a fifth time. When I hire people, I look at that, right? More than knowledge. It's like,
The
did you
adaptability
change
part of
topic?
it.
Yeah, are
Like the
you
heavy
adaptable, so that when the next thing comes, are you ready for that? And there are some ways to become as adaptable as possible, which is kind of like not sticking to one thing and learning things all the time. You kind of have to learn things all the time. Now, that's incredibly tone deaf for me to say that when somebody who's like maybe with a big family and they're the breadwinner, and they can't just be like, oh, I'm going to take a bunch of courses, like, so I think society has to step in and be like, okay, I'm not going to leave a person in the street because AI can do their job. Companies have to do this. Society has to do this, has to be responsible and say, if I'm going to tell people to become adaptable at 50 or more, I need to take care of people. I doubt society's going to do it, but I think society should do it. I'll say
yes,
I'm gonna help the people. Yes, the teenagers are now living in a world that's adaptable. They they will guide themselves to that.
will be
They
yes.
will not. But somebody who's on a transition needs to be taken care of. At least throughout this change.
Yes.
So it's
And,
it's as
and the only
everything. It's a
challenge,
society thing
yeah.
and an individual
And,
thing. Sorry, go ahead.
and the thing, yeah, and the thing has been the pace of the change is just so rapid that it's very tricky for everyone to adapt in a much faster way. And as you're saying, I think
of
that
course.
the society really has to come in and try to help. Otherwise, everyone, like many people, are going to struggle over some future. So that's,
Yeah,
I think, that's a
absolutely.
good point. Yeah. So just
Absolutely. Yeah.
based on the time, I think, Louis, I think we can just keep discussing around different things, but I'd just like to ask you last one more thing. Now, you being a content creator from a long time, you being an educator, pure educator, and then trying to transition that to content creation and then educate. Anyone who's new and want to get into the content creation and educate, how should they get started? What's your suggestion? And I'd be very happy to listen to your
Yeah. Oh,
points
that's
and
a
suggestions on
great
this.
question. Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I feel like everybody is a completely different kind of educator. You know, I'm fully visual. Like I am 100% cartoonish story, blah blah blah. I don't want everybody to be that because there's so many things that I miss. Some people are purely like they just want to share the code they've written. Like they're like, I wrote this GitHub repo, put it there. Some people are writers. Like some people just write blog posts. So I think there's no rule, but the only rule I use is I say what would I have liked to have for myself, right? Or what worked for me, right? Like my style is a combination of like maybe 10 professors I had that were great, or people I met that were like, oh, this person has joy. I'm going to show joy. This person draws pictures. I'm going to have pictures. This person puts the example first. I'm going to do that, you know? So like, I feel like whatever worked for you, whatever made you learn and you enjoy it or something, do that. And what would you do to yourself? And do that and put it out in the world. And there's a lot of creators these days, which is wonderful. It also means there's a lot less volume. Like I get a lot less volume than I got 10 years ago. But don't get discouraged by that. You're teaching to people. You're helping others. I think that's the important thing, right? To me, a comment of somebody saying you changed my life is worth, or like I got started like this and got all this is worth more than thousands of views. Uh so I think yeah, I mean, just pick what worked for you, and that's your style. I
So
feel like I
identifying the
answer all my
specialty.
questions. I
Yeah.
feel like I answer the questions so ambiguously. I wish I was more concrete, but
I
that's all
think
I got.
it's a tricky one for sure. But any specific learning of yours, like specifically to you, it could be, but like any specific thing that you thought that okay, it didn't work, these were bad things, that people should do it in this way.
um Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I think a lot of things that I've done did not work. I think when I first started teaching, this is when I was in university at TA, or I had to teach courses. I was trying to be the standard, and it didn't not work. And I slowly got more true to myself and be like, okay, I'm gonna be a little more my own thing. And it was embarrassing because people don't teach like that. And then eventually, it took me many years to be proud of the way I teach. You know so I feel like I hope people who listen to this be like, whatever way you do it, be proud now, because the more different, the better, because you're adding different stuff.
Right.
But I also have been sort of more humble lately, because I got from like full humble to full arrogant, and then I'm back to normal, because then for a while I was like, my stuff is my stuff, and that's how I do it. And a lot of people were like, this is not fully working for me. Like, I need at least a little code lab or something. I don't need code labs. When I learn, I just like the visuals, and I don't go code, So like people were like, can you do a little bit of this, or can you just be more concrete? Like, don't just give us the story, give us the actual definition, give us the actual formula. Like, and so I start listening to people, and I go, okay, yeah, I need that too, you know. And so also check what works for you. That's your core. But also, just receive feedback, and take it with a grain of salt. Some feedback doesn't help. Like, a lot of arrogant people come in and just be like, oh, you're making it too easy, make it harder. And I'm like, that you're just showing off. Like, you're not giving, it's not feedback. But many people say, yeah, I needed this more, and listen to that. and just end up with a combination. But the more different, the better. Like the more you're free to show us what your mind is, the better, because the less you follow the what's already been done, then I feel like that just enriches more, right? But yeah, there's, for example, like if people want to learn math, I check out Three Blue One Brown is this contest. It's like a summer of math. I think a lot of creators have got a big boost there.
Is it?
It's just
Can you
check
repeat again?
three blue, one brown,
Three blue
summer
and
of
brown. Yeah,
math.
yeah.
This is just for math. Summer of Math exposition. I feel like that a lot. I've seen so many creators come out of there.
Oh,
Uh, and I think there's got to be similar things for like AI or data science. I'll have to, if I see some outpost on LinkedIn, I think maybe Josh Starmer's maybe may have done something like that, or maybe this is the StatQuest person. And then I feel like there may be contests or places where you can share your material or something. Kind of like
they
what if
feedback.
like you were in would be an open mic, basically, the equivalent of that. So that's places you can share it. But yeah, I mean, I think if you're enjoying the teaching and using it as a learning mechanism for yourself, then you're doing it right. You know,
Yep.
I
And
more,
it
more most
helps
of
a
my
lot.
teaching is me learning. Yeah, good.
Yep. Like teaching and teaching is more like you learning. And
Yeah, pretty
for
much.
me,
My
it has
teaching
been a
is my
great,
learning.
yeah, and it has been a great, the way I got fully into teaching again because I started loving it a lot. Like you get so ingrained and it just gives you so different perspective. So when you're
Yeah,
working, you have one perspective and you just go with that one single perspective. But when you're teaching, you try to think of like all the perspectives,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it
Of course.
very different.
And may I ask you, like, sort of how was your journey through the style of Vidvata, or was it, you know, uh,
So the only thing, like even I had been doing a part-time teaching when I was working full-time with the different roles. I was doing part-time teaching, and teaching was something that I always liked and was feeling more joy as compared to the corporate work. But only thing that I was doing a more live sessions more than so as you have been more in the recording, but I was doing more of live sessions. One of a challenge that we faced was in the live sessions in online, it's very difficult to have a engaging hands-on coding experience. So everyone is providing the live session, but where in the live session the students are only listening, you can't have a hands-on experience. So we thought, okay, let's build something that can give more hands-on. So we build a platform where it's a video conferencing plus the code editor, where in the live session students can code directly there in the single platform. And on top of it,
perfect?
we
Yeah.
also get to see every student's code in the live sessions. We can
Oh, that's
actually
very
make
good. That's
changes.
very good.
Yeah, we can just go and make changes to everyone's code if they are stuck. So in live sessions, you go and ask everyone what you're doing, where you are stuck. But in online, it is very difficult. In online, you can't make everyone show what they're doing, where they're stuck.
Yeah,
So that's what we thought we'll do it something differently. And then I got into this journey. Uh,
that's wonderful. Because you're
thanks a
really
lot, Luis.
getting that. You're really one thing that is very hard in education space is that it's very individualistic, and competitive. And I find like humans, we've been competitive for a little bit of time, but we evolved collaboratively, and I feel like you're getting the collaborative aspect of humans, which I think is the best way to learn and to build things, and you have that with the tech, which makes you even more individualistic, so this is I love what you're doing. Yeah,
Thanks a lot, Luis. Thank you so
yeah,
much. It means a lot. And I think with that, we have been over time, and I know you also want to go for other meeting. But let me quickly
having a
see.
good time.
There are some people who are online. Guys, like if you want to ask any questions to
Sure.
Luis,
Any
please put
question?
your questions, uh, and we'll see if Luis can answer. So Luis will be happy to answer. But yeah, you can put it over
Then
the
happy.
comments. Yep.
It's in the Q&A, right?
Yeah, and not here. I think most of people have joined over LinkedIn Live.
Oh, LinkedIn Live.
Seeing
Oh, yeah,
there.
yeah. I have it right in front of me. Yeah.
Yep. So if there are questions, so till that
Let's
point,
see.
Luis, like if anyone had to, how do they get to your resources? Where all they can find
Oh,
your
yes, yes,
content?
definitely. If I put a comment on LinkedIn, do you see it? Like the video that I put there? Or what's the best place to?
I think best would be also to put it over the comment. I think to all the people it will be visible, and we will also share it to all the people who have registered separately over the mail.
Okay. I put my YouTube channel. So I put the video on agents that they should watch. I highly recommend. Then there's the YouTube channel, and then actually all my stuff is in this page, Serrano Academy. I've been actually working on it, and now I have like a bunch of courses and stuff there. So I have, because I have a lot of sequential videos, and I put them with courses. You could go there. It's called something called the Learning Hub there. And I've
Sure.
been adding more stuff there, and my plan is to add more courses. So definitely check out. It's just http serrano.academy, like dot academy. So
Perfect.
definitely check that out. I put the three things. Do you see them in the chat? Because I can also put
Please,
them on
please,
chat. Here I can put them here.
uh, please put it over the chat.
Yeah.
I'll see that later on. We'll be able to share it to others.
And then I have, do you see them in the chat now?
It is available, Luis, over the chat. I'll
Okay, perfect. So one is the YouTube channel, the other one is the page with the courses, and the third one is this is the video agents video, AI agents video, fresh off the press of this morning.
some. I
It's
think
called
that
Swag and
many
Reasoning
people,
Models.
many will be interested to see over the AI agents video.
Yeah.
Yep. I think great. Luis, there are no questions that I see, but it has been
Okay.
a very fantastic conversation with you to
Kids.
to
Thank you
understand
for
your
me.
journey and the way I just like the the moment I been in your live session physically, I was just like mind-boggling thing for me that things can be just taught in so intuitive way, and it's fantastic. And I do feel that the 1 hour session, but the amount of effort that you put to get those concepts like transition from maths to more visuals and then actually trying to deliver those. I think that would be a great effort you would be putting every day to make it so easy for everyone to understand. And that's such a hats
Thank
off to you.
Thank you so much, and that means a lot coming from you, who's done so much for the space of education and the space of tech, and who has such an innovative platform that really helps people a lot, and that really brings it out of the box. Like you're doing a lot of stuff that is very very different. We're talking about collaborative learning. So thank you, and definitely I love talking to you, and this is a great conversation.
Thanks, Lois. I
Thank
think
you.
great. Thank you again, Lois. So with that, we will stop the session. And if any other questions, I'll share it to you over the emails, or I think people can also connect you over the LinkedIn. You're always open on
Definitely
LinkedIn and
connect over
you
LinkedIn.
respond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy to
So
connect over LinkedIn. That's where I put all my
yep,
stuff. So,
yep. So you're also
right.
available on messages over the LinkedIn. So people who want to talk with Lois or ask questions to Lois, you can always approach him over the LinkedIn also.
Perfect.
Okay, great, Lois. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
great
Thank
time.
you so much for speaking.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah.